Hello, I am Lance Howell, and I'm here presenting my Tableau Final. And before I get into the dashboard and the different graphs, just kind of mentioning why I did it, and that's because I've always been into sports statistics. And for me, this was a very interesting way to allow me to dig a little deeper into each team in the NFL and also to see how my favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts, compares, and then also to allow other fans to compare their teams as well. So kind of digging into this dashboard, the first things that I looked at was the wins per fan dollar spent. I think this for me was a good way to just determine the amount of money the fans are spending on each win of their NFL teams. And then I also did the future wins in color. This is not a direct correlation between the two, of course, because future wins isn't by fan dollar spent. But of course, if you have a team that is really high in wins per fan dollar spent, and then their future wins is high, then of course it's going to be a team that most likely will have a lot of money coming in the next season and in future seasons. And just the opposite, if you have a team that's really low in future wins per fan dollar spent, and then future wins is low, that obviously means that there's probably not going to be all that much fan dollar spent then either. The next one I wanted to look in is kind of a comparison between future wins and team behavior. Of course, if you're rooting for a team, usually it's easier to root for a team that doesn't have a bunch of behavior issues. And in this, behavior was taken by team arrests, and then also taken into account, it's a double factor if it's with women. And so this was just, to me, also a interesting correlation to see if there was any between high behavior and high future wins, or low behavior and low future wins. And I'll go into the graph a little bit more in a bit. But this is just interesting because the data is not really any correlation to it, which means that behavior doesn't really necessarily tie to future wins. And then kind of this last one down here, it was just good for me to kind of throw in players and coaching. Of course, a team is usually more liked if they have really talented players and coaching, and the players and coaches are easy to rally around. So this was also a good comparison that if the players and coaches are highly rated, it means the team is probably more likable. And so then in here, I did two different actions. Clicking any one of these teams here or in here will highlight it, and then it will also filter that graph down below. So here, just clicked on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So here's the highlight and then the filter here. So their coaching and players isn't all that highly rated, kind of middle of the pack for behavior and really low in future wins. So then kind of going into each one here, this is just the blown up graph, then having all the colors. So future wins being the color function, and then just wins per fan dollar spent being along this axis here. So the Seattle Seahawks have 100 in both. And then also kind of looking at NFL stadium experiences. I wanted to look at this because, of course, if you're a fan and you are attending games, you want it to be an enjoyable experience. Obviously, if the stadium experience isn't very well, you probably won't go to games. So here, it was just good to just kind of look at the different stadium experiences and kind of give that a rating just to see how your NFL team stacks up against all the other stadium experiences in the league. And the next one, NFL teams, and then by players and coaches. So this is kind of a better breakdown. In the dashboard, if you filter it, of course, then there's only one data point, which means the color is going to be always the darkest for 100 because that's the only one that's there. But here does a really good breakdown. So just kind of comparing my team here, the Colts, it looks like you're going here all the way across. And high players, coaching was a little bit lower in this year. And so you can see here, it looks like, according to this, the players are set up for future wins. But then coaching is a little bit lower, which is why it's a little bit of a lighter color. There may be some of these other teams here, like the New England Patriots, and then here's the Seattle Seahawks. And then this is the one where now it's more spread out than in the dashboard, looking at those future wins compared to team behavior. This was really interesting to me again, just seeing that there really is no correlation between behavior and the amount of future wins that a team would have. You can see here there's some that are low behavior, low future wins, but you have the same where you have a really high behavior team and future wins is not that much different. And at the same time, you can have teams that are really high in future wins and have pretty good behavior. And just the same, you can have teams with really low behavior and really high future wins. So again, there really isn't any correlation here, which to me was very interesting. And it does just go to show that teams in the NFL, it's a really competitive league. All the teams have really good players. And so just because there may be a few behavior issues on each team, wins are really all spread apart, and each year, different teams can improve and be a lot better. And so this is just a good kind of correlation between behavior and future wins, and just kind of showing that behavior really doesn't have any direct correlation to future wins. And also here, lastly, I looked at just the affordability and throw in a color marking of small market teams. And this one did seem to have some correlation. Kind of seen here, a lot of times these teams that are really high are going to have a darker color, which means they're affordable and they're categorized as a small market team. So kind of seeing here, here's the Indianapolis Colts, my favorite team. Pretty good ratings in both. Same kind of thing here, affordability 94, small market. They're saying that is a small market. Same kind of thing here, really high affordability, and the small market rating is still fairly high. And then you can go down to the exact opposite, the New York Jets, really low affordability and a low rating and small market as well. Same thing here, really low affordability, really low small market rating. So this really was a good indication that for the most part, if you're a fan of a small market team, it is going to be more affordable. And so again, this is just kind of my comparison to allow me to look into how my favorite team compares against the others in the league. And this just kind of, to me, the three things that were most interesting, just to look at players and coaching, future wins versus team behavior, and then just the amount of money that fans are putting in for the wins that the team has. And to me, this was a good kind of showing that my future team is towards the top. Of course, not one of the top probably 5 in this ranking, but again, a top team. And this is just a good tool for other fans to also potentially compare their teams to the rest. Thank you.